So thanks for joining Lensa Q&A. Today we're joined by career coach and speaker Michelle Enjoli. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you today.
The same. I wanted to ask you, you're a master of connecting who kicked off her career in an unlikely way. How did you land a job as a television producer despite being an undergraduate who had no experience at the time and no connections in the industry? Could you tell us about that and maybe say something about what young people today could learn from your experience?
Sure. Yeah. So it's interesting because, it seems that it was some like methodical, practice that I was doing now that I look back at it as I teach young people today to learn how to network. But it was just something that I had learned growing up, which is I grew up in a very diverse community in a small town in New Jersey outside of New York City. And so I think that experience of having a large family, communicating with people from all walks of life, I was always very curious. And so there was a practice my family and many other families have, which is, in the morning they have coffee. And so I grew up watching, my large extended family have coffee, talk about the news, update each other. And so naturally, I, one, learned to love coffee, but two, I was also very curious and loved asking people questions. I loved reading stories. And so that's what led me to want to study journalism and want to become a news producer in college. And so essentially that love and desire that, pushed me to want to pursue this career is what also pushed me to start getting connections to learn more about it. And so while I was in school, I simply try to learn as much as possible. I would, use my teachers, the faculty of the school, ask them questions. A lot of them had either worked in the industry or knew people in the industry. And so over those conversations over coffee or lunch or after class, I got to know them a little bit better and pretty much, let them know, hey, I'd love to learn more. And so I think all of those connections helped me gain my first internship, a couple of part-time jobs that I got. And so I landed one of those internships happened to be for a television station outside of New York City. And so via that internship was how I learned, a little bit more about the television industry. And it was, again, as odd as it may sound or funny as it may sound, it was having coffee with one of those guests that landed me that interview to become a producer for the national morning show in New York, which is amazing.
Wow. Okay. I love that story. You
Yeah.
talked a lot about connections, and that's why this brings me to my next question. You worked at Mercedes-Benz for a while you were there. You developed a curriculum called Connect that focuses on three pillars, so networking, personal branding, and self-esteem. I was wondering if you could walk us through how that curriculum works, just an overview of the process, and tell us how you measure success.
Sure. So what I do is I developed a set of frameworks within each area. So for networking, I have a framework that I teach people that one defines what I call connecting. So networking is what the standard industry term is, but I love to use the word connecting because, I feel that in today's world, especially with the big use of technology, there's a lot of young professionals and even older professionals who no longer have experience with, interacting with people as much as we do. We do it over screens or we're constantly on our phones. And so I actually developed a formal definition for connecting, which I teach people, and then a framework that teaches them how to do it, what you should think about when you're connecting with someone new. And I've done the same for the personal branding pillar and also for the self-esteem pillar, because I'm a big believer in making sure that things are very easy and explainable and something that people can remember as they, start practicing what I teach them in their everyday life. And then the way that we measure success is, so I like every interaction that I have is very personal, right? Because people are very different parts of their journey. They're either starting their career in their mid-career, maybe looking to, switch to end their career and, and go into retirement. Some people also have different skill sets. Like I sometimes coach people who are amazing networkers, but they might need help in the personal branding space. Or maybe somebody older who is now looking to make a change, pivot career-wise, but they're suffering a little bit with self-esteem because they're trying to make a change, but they're not unsure if they can make that change. And so I use the frameworks as a baseline, but then customize it based on, my client's goals. And then we essentially measure success by whether, they're accomplishing that goal or not. And I kind of set a lot of while we're going through the coaching process every week, there's a set of exercises, there's a set of work that has to be done that kind of all equates to that final piece of, are you connecting more? What is it that you're actually doing? So we kind of there's some standard goals that are set, but definitely there's a lot of goals that are very personal depending on, the client and their level of experience.
I love how you define networking as connecting. And I'm just wondering, like, what is that exactly? How do job seekers cultivate connections that lead to the desired opportunities?
Sure. So the formal definition of connecting is I have labeled it as an authentic attempt to learn or assist someone. So there are three things in that definition I tell people to remember all the time. One is the authenticity, right? Be who you are. You can't properly connect with someone if you're not, if you're not yourself. So don't try to change who you are based on professional settings or different people. There's a certain code of conduct that you should obviously always adhere to, but be yourself. If you are a creative person, let that shine through. If you are an analytical person, let that shine through. And then the two big core components are learning and assisting. So I tell people all the time, every single person in your life, whether it could be in your personal life or your professional life, there is an opportunity to learn from them and assist them. And so one great way, and I've used this over and over and still do so to this day, one, I ask a lot of questions, right? If you are connecting with someone and they either are in a field that you're unfamiliar with or you have an interest in, ask questions. Come prepared to ask them great questions. How did you get into your career? What are some of the challenges that you have? What are some recommendations? And then on the flip part, which is the most powerful portion of it all, is if you're able to assist them in any way. So many times, I hear from young professionals, when they're doing internships or connecting with people over coffee or a lunch, they ask questions and maybe the person that they're interacting with might be like, well, yeah, we actually have an event coming up where we need assistance with XYZ. Well, if you happen to either one, know someone who can assist them, offer that information, right? Offer that contact or that resource. Or if you yourself have some insight and can offer help directly, that's even better. Offer that, because I think that once someone will always remember when someone has helped them. And so I definitely feel that a great way to establish those connections are to, one, ask questions, but also definitely assist people. And I think that when you break it down in those, three simple terminology, people can remember that. And I think it's easier to go about, networking with people when you are, around someone you want to learn something more about.
Is that the key to achieving lasting professional growth, or is it something else? And if so, what is it?
Yes. Well, there are three things, hence the three pillars. Well, definitely networking. I tell everyone from the moment that you're able to speak, learn how to talk to people and connect, because you're going to need that, right? Unlike, one of the reasons why I started doing what I do is because I was actually a witness when I was with Mercedes-Benz of how rapidly things change, how the business environment is now changing. We are no longer in an era where people are spending 5 and 10 years in the same job, but much less even in the same company. People are consistently moving. And in today's world, it's either by choice, but a lot of it is just the rate of technology. Some jobs might be disappearing. Companies are shifting. And so I definitely feel networking is something that you need to do as much as possible for lasting growth. But also in today's world, especially because we are so digitally focused, also with social media, personal branding, right? That's a big one. I talk about that a lot where, depending on what your career goals are, make sure that you are branding yourself as with something with qualities, with what you're putting out there on social media, with that they match what your goals are. And so I help people pay attention to what are you putting on your social media, and does that correlate with the leader that you want to be, right? Are your actions matching your words or what you say you want to be? And then third of it is the self-esteem, is constantly developing yourself personally, and making sure that you are building up your resilience, that you are consistently growing. Because one of the things that I'm noticing more and more, and it doesn't matter what age group, it happens to all of us, is that as we're pivoting, right, self-esteem can be hit. You're either unsure because you're moving into a new area, or you're leaving a company that you've been with for a long amount of time, and now you're going into a new company where you're going to need to make new connections. And so I think that personal growth and development is also pivotal as well to making sure that you are developing yourself professionally.
Do you have specific advice for someone who's looking for a new professional opportunity in 2021?
Definitely. What I would say is, first off, is I tell everyone to take a step back and think about what is the goal. So for example, let's just say you are an engineer and you're working for a specific company. Is the goal that you simply want to grow in your company and you're looking for a promotion or experience in a different area? Is it that you are in a toxic work environment perhaps and you want to leave because you and your manager or your environment is not healthy and you want to do the same job but maybe in a different company? Or is it that you're looking for completely new, different, you want to pivot professionally, you want to do something completely different? I think it's very, very important first to establish what that goal is. And then once you establish that, right, create a game plan. And the first thing I tell people is do your research, right? Start with your own professional network, start connecting with people, asking people questions, right? Asking for maybe recommendations or referrals of people who are either in that industry or company that you want to move to, and start actively networking with them. Another thing that I also give a lot of advice to and help people formulate is an elevator speech. This is something also that I tell people all the time, no matter what age you are. I think I would recommend this even from the time that you're in high school. Have an elevator speech. It could be 60 seconds of, who you are. Are you a student? Are you currently an engineer of XYZ company? And then make sure that the elevator speech tells people, what is it that you're looking to do? I want to learn more about XYZ. Hey, I'm actually looking for an opportunity in this field or an XYZ company. The more you tell people what is it that you're looking to accomplish, hey, that opens some doors. Someone might be able to help you directly or might also be able to give you a reference or a resource. And that's essentially what I did when I was in college, is literally I didn't know that it was an elevator speech back then, but I would let people know what my goals were. And that helped me a lot.
I feel like my goal for this interview was to get some amazing insights for job seekers, and we've definitely done that. So thanks. Michelle Enjoli, I'm just wondering if people want to find out more about you or get in touch, where do they go to do that?
Sure. Well, you can find me. I'm on social media. I'm on LinkedIn all the time, Instagram as well, at Michelle Enjoli, and then also on my website as well, michelleenjoli.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michelle. We'll talk to you again, I hope, sometime.
Thank you, Brad.